Hello, Miranda. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. My name is Nathaniel Free. I'll be conducting this interview. Also, just so you know, we conduct these interviews as ways to screen our candidates. I like to get some face-to-face time, learn a little bit more about you. A bit about me: I've been teaching for 20 years. I've been an elementary director before, a headmaster, and now a regional director. So, for the open position for elementary director, I guess we can start off with getting to know you a little bit better. So tell me about yourself.
So currently I am a student at Utah Valley University. I am pursuing a bachelor's degree in family science with an emphasis in behavioral science and an associate's degree in business management. I've been working at a prestigious private school in Lehi, Utah for about 8 years now, where I have learned and honed my skills of organization, communication, and really just connecting with the students and making sure that their experience at the school is the best that it can be.
Okay. Could you maybe tell me about a time where you have showed initiative during that process? What prompted you to get started, and what were the results?
Absolutely. So actually more recently there was a situation in which all of our supplies at the school were back ordered. So everything came all at once instead of a steady flow over the summer. So because of that, they were overrun with school supplies and didn't have enough employees to sort out those supplies. So I took on the task of taking an entire room full of boxes, and in 2 days I had sorted through those boxes and supplies and had distributed all of the supplies to the teachers before the school year started. And this helped everyone be more successful, including myself, in making sure that we were all prepared for the school year to start.
So maybe you could tell me about what was the most useful criticism you ever received from an immediate supervisor. I'd like to get to know like how you handle criticism and how you navigate that. How did you embrace this feedback and achieve a positive outcome from that?
So as a teacher, I actually receive a lot of critique and feedback from my immediate supervisors about once a week or once a month, depending on the scenario. More recently, I had feedback in regards to inspiring my students to read in their books every night. My supervisor came in to watch and realized that a lot of the students hadn't been reading, so I created a chart to help the students have jobs while they were reading at home, to help them be more inspired to read and take that initiative to do their homework at home. So I took that feedback and I decided to create actionable tasks that I could bring back to my immediate supervisor and tell her what I had done to fix the problem.
Okay, and tell me, what do you feel you have to offer above the average employee when it comes to accomplishing your daily responsibilities and goals? Can you share a specific example for that?
So because I have been in the field for 8 years now, I have also had the opportunity to be at a different grade level every year. So I've taught pre-K through now 8th grade at this private school, and I think this actually gives me a lot of experience and I have a lot of tools and skills that I have grown throughout the years because I've been in each of these scenarios. So as an elementary director, I would be able to go to each grade and guide those teachers to find those skills and tools on their own.
Okay. Could you describe a time when you elevated the level of value you brought to a customer or a parent or a student over time? How did you accomplish that?
Oh yeah, this is a great question. Because I have had those opportunities to be with those students almost every year of their career at the school that I have been at, because they have moved me up every year, I have been with the same clients or same parents for a long period of time. So just being that consistent teacher, always knowing what they're going to get with me, they always know what to expect with Mrs. Free, and they have always in the past been pleased with the product that they have received and the level of communication and trust that we have between each other.
Can you recall a time when you were less than pleased with your performance, and what did you do about it?
Awesome question. So I actually have a testing that my students do every couple of months. And the last test of the last school year, when I taught 4th grade, my students did not do as well on their spelling and vocabulary area. So I met with my director and let her know what I was going to do to fix it, and that I was going to change the routine for spelling and actually integrate their spelling and vocabulary concepts throughout the whole school day. So after doing that for 6 weeks, they had another test to show whether they had improved or not, and there was a massive improvement on their test scores.
Describe your level of competitiveness. Tell me about specific situations where your competitiveness helped you achieve your better results than your peers.
So competitiveness in teaching can be a unique experience because as a teacher who is passionate about her job, I'm very careful about my competitiveness not taking away from the experience of other teachers. And when in regards to a leadership position, I am always sharing my ideas with other teachers. A way that I show my immediate supervisor that I am more valuable than other teachers is my work ethic. I'm always on time. Whenever I have tasks that need to be done, I am willing to stay after. Anytime they need an extra body, that they need help with any type of activity after school or before school, I'm always happy to step up. And so I feel like that does elevate me above my fellow employees, at the same time as showing that I really do care about the school as a whole, and not just my students in my classroom, but all of the students in all the classrooms.
Okay, I want you to think of an example when one of your parents or students were not pleased with something you or the school had done, and what was the situation? How did you recover from that?
So oftentimes with a private school situation, parents have or are consistently unhappy with the standards or the expectations that we have at the school in regards to academic performance. So oftentimes I'll have scenarios where students are not performing to what their parents want them to be. For example, I had a student who in spelling and vocabulary, again, that subject, he was scoring really low, and mom and dad called and they were really upset about his test scores. And so first off, I empathized with them and let them know that I was there to help him be successful, and I really appreciated their concern, and that we were there to work as a team to help this child. I told them that I would do extra practice with him and kind of really identify where his breakdown was in why he was having a hard time spelling. We actually figured out together that he was dyslexic, so we went through a lot of exercises at school, and he started therapy outside of school. And in the end, they were actually really grateful that I went to those lengths to figure out that there wasn't an underlying issue, rather than just that he needed to study more. That wasn't a good answer for them. So they were happy with the way that things ended up at the end.
Can you give me an example of when you successfully persuaded your peers to change their minds and follow your recommendations? What was the specific situation and results?
Yeah, I actually do have a particular example that in the environment of teachers, a lot of teachers are experiencing that burnout of that being a caregiver day in, day out. We're taking our work home, we're coming in early. And so some teachers actually have very strong feelings that you should not work outside of your contract hours. And that if you do, it's illogical, it's irrational, that you're not getting paid for those hours. And I knew that a couple of teachers in the lunchroom at the time did work after hours, and that they did that to help them feel better. And so I spoke up against the people who were kind of berating those who stayed after work, and just said, Whatever helps you be a better teacher, whatever helps you be happy should be accepted. If you are okay with staying after school, then we shouldn't be really shaming other people for that. And the employee that had been making those negative comments actually came up to me the next day and apologized and said, "Thank you so much for speaking up, because what I was really frustrated was with myself and not with those teachers who were staying after. So thanks for speaking up, and I appreciate it. And I'm really sorry if, what I said came off in a negative way." And our relationship was mended, and I feel like she walked away from that scenario with a more open mind and a better attitude towards being a teacher and our employer expectations.
Could you share a time when you were able to directly attribute your probing skills to solve a problem with a difficult customer?
Yeah, so our school, because it's a private school, we actually give tours to parents. So a lot of parents who have never heard of our school or have never been to our school, they will come in with not a lot of previous knowledge, but a lot of questions and a lot of things that they require in a school for their child. So I have had many years, actually 4 years, practicing giving these tours to parents where I have to ask them questions to make sure they are going to be happy at our school. So things like, how did you hear about us? What's important to you in a preschool? Do you value an academic heavy program or a art heavy program? Just asking these types of questions can get out of the parents what's really important to them, and honestly help us before we get to an issue. We can let them know, like, hey, we actually don't offer that, or we do. And honestly, just from practice, from asking those questions and going on these tours with parents, is how I've become sort of an expert at making sure I'm asking those types of questions as I'm going on those tours with those new parents.
And tell me about a time when you identified a new, unusual, or different approach for addressing a problem or task. How did you come up with a solution, and what was the outcome?
So at school, there is, at our private school that we teach, is the subject of grammar, which is not a common subject outside of our school. And a lot of teachers, including myself, were experiencing some hiccups. A lot of the students loved math and the routine that came along with it, but we were having a hard time getting them engaged and excited about grammar. So I really took a step back and compared the two and asked myself, what do the students love about math? What is it about our math routine that the students are craving? And it really was that high-paced routine with mental math at the beginning, moving into a review, quickly moving into whiteboard exercises. So I actually implemented that into a grammar routine, doing something like mental math called mental grammar, doing a speed diagram or a speed edit every day to get the students warmed up. And immediately I saw results. I saw the excitement on their faces. They were all participating way more. And when I shared these ideas with my director, she was very happy to share them with other teachers as well. And then when teachers came to me, I was able to share those ideas with them.
Okay, so this has been a pretty long interview, and I appreciate you taking the time to answer all of these questions. I know they're not the easiest questions to answer, but also I'd like to know, do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I actually have a couple of questions regarding your support for teachers. How are you going through and making sure that teachers feel supported so that they can avoid burnout? How are you, as an administrator, knowledgeable about those, the teachers who need support? And then my second question.
Well, I'll answer your first question. We just love to pay our teachers way more than what other schools pay their teachers, and we provide them with adequate time off so that they can have that work-life balance and they don't get burned out. And then we also provide the training and support network so our teachers can feel like they're being successful.
That's really great. That's actually really unique. So my second question kind of goes along the lines of, if I am or if a teacher is out, how do you handle a substitute? how involved is administration when there is another person in the classroom besides myself?
Substitutes are hard because we don't have a whole lot of substitutes on hand. Being a private school, we take a lot of time in training our teachers, but when necessary, one of our directors will step up to teach that course so that
That's
the
really
quality of teaching doesn't diminish while you're gone.
Oh, that's really
Those are
good.
really good questions, and this was a good interview. I'm gonna review these questions that I've asked and your answers. The next step for this, within the next 2 weeks, you're going to hear from us. We may reach out to you for some more information during that time, but absolutely expect to hear from us within the next 2 weeks. And if you don't, feel free to send us a message and we can kind of update you on the process and where we're at. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to meet with me. I really appreciate
thank you,
it.
Miranda. Look forward to hearing from you again.